What is up, everyone, and welcome to another video. Today I'm going to be sharing my wish list for the villains of Insomniac's Spider-Man 3. Before I begin, I just wanted to say thank you to all the viewers who checked out my villain design tier list video. It blew up within 3 days. It's just over 3,000 views, so I appreciate all of you for showing that some love, for commenting, liking, and watching throughout the whole video. I really appreciate that. And thank you to all the new subscribers that just subscribed to the channel because of that video. Welcome to the channel, and I hope you find something that you like. With that being said, if you are not subscribed to this channel, please hit the subscribe button and like this video. I'd really appreciate it. And let's get to it. So first of all, the villains all depend on the choices that they make for the story. It's been confirmed that Miles Morales is the main Spider-Man going forward because Peter has retired to build a life with MJ. The post-credit scene at the end of Spider-Man 2 teased a Norman Osborn and Otto Octavius partnership. Norman wants to know the identities of the Spider-Man, but Otto doesn't want to tell him. Norman wants to know this because he wants revenge on what they did to Harry, which they actually saved him, but Norman views it as that they hurt him even more after removing the symbiote. So I'm going to cover the supporting villains for this game and then get into the main villains, which are pretty exciting. The first supporting villain I could see being included in this game is the Chameleon, which would be a side mission villain. This would continue on from the side mission in Spider-Man 2, where you go around the city investigating all the, drones that are collecting all this data of people that are non-existent or just are made up, and it's revealed that the Chameleon is behind all this and is trying to carry on Kraven's mission. This could be really fun because we haven't seen the Chameleon in this franchise yet, and that would give us a big opportunity to expand more of maybe Kraven's family into this franchise. The next one I could definitely see being in this game is Carnage, which would be another side mission villain. This would obviously continue from the Flame side mission in Spider-Man 2. Cletus Cassidy would be causing more carnage with his newly acquired red symbiote. This would be really fun, as this has been a highly requested DLC for Spider-Man 2, but they recently confirmed that they have no plans for DLC content for that game. This could be really fun to play, as you could investigate killings around the city, check out on all the chaos that's happening that he's causing, and just stop Carnage. If they continue down that route, then it would be really interesting to see if they bring an other symbiote into this. Another side mission villain I could see them including is Morbius. I could see this playing in a similar way to the Man-Bat side missions in Batman Arkham Knight. It's basically you go around investigating all these different disturbances and then end up investigating a further link to a scientist gone mad, experimenting on himself, and then eventually there's a standoff between Morbius and Spider-Man. I think that could be really cool, getting into, introducing the more supernatural side to this franchise, because obviously Morbius is probably the first very prominent supernatural villain that Spider-Man has in this franchise, if he is to be included in this game. Now getting into the main villains, the first one I could definitely see being in this is Alistair Smythe. This would be really cool because obviously he's responsible for creating the Spider Slayers, which Norman might want to have on his side if he's trying to track down the Spider-Man. Osborn maybe could have hired Smythe and forced him to develop a gang, maybe get some goons called the Spider Slayers, or, develop a bunch of, robotic enemies similar to Kraven's drones that are also Spider Slayers that go around trying to hunt the Spider-Man across the city. With all this being said, I think Smythe would be a fitting villain to be included in this game and be in a partnership with Norman. I think that would be pretty obvious for them to do. The next one we have is Beetle. Beetle was initially planned as a DLC villain for Spider-Man 2, and obviously that was scrapped. But I think if they brought them into this, you could really use them as like an assassin that Osborn has hired, maybe given them the flight suit. This could provide very interesting boss fights, kind of similar to the Vulture ones, high aerial combat fights with Beetle, and, just have him being a driving force throughout the story as Norman's, personal assassin in trying to track down the Spider-Man. And now we have our big main villain, and I think the obvious choice for this is the Green Goblin. Norman was setting this up at the end of Spider-Man 2, wanting to get into the dirty work himself. There's been Easter eggs throughout the games hinting at his progression into developing the Goblin persona. For example, there were grenades and a prototype mask seen in Spider-Man 2018, and there was a leaked concept art that was from the initially planned multiplayer Spider-Man game that featured Goblin-esque characters, so we know at some point they would have existed in this franchise, and I think this is where it would have begun. Having the Green Goblin as the main villain would provide a completely new form of gameplay when it comes to fighting the villains. I could see a sequence of you chasing the Goblin on his glider, maybe even being dragged along the city by his glider. He's got you like wrapped up in a boa, and he's just dragging you around, hitting you in the buildings, and you're trying to regain your momentum and try to break out of that. I think that'd be really cool. It's an iconic part of a Goblin and Spider-Man fight where he just drags Spider-Man around the city, slamming him into buildings. I think that would be really cool to have in this game. This could also add into the high aerial combat mechanics that they might add for Beetle, and just, bring it up to another level with Green Goblin. Just have him bring you all the way up, and you get to use like your web wings. You get to, try to zip to his glider to stay in the air. You can make it a very intense form of fighting if you're that high in the air and you can't fall any lower than a certain point, or, the mission's ended or whatever. Having Goblin as the main villain in this game could force Peter out of retirement and bring him into this game as maybe being the third Spider-Man, if it's not already confirmed as someone else that I'll get to in a couple minutes. Maybe the Goblin targets MJ to get at Peter, maybe he targets Haley to get at Miles, but I think the Goblin has to make an appearance and try to personally attack the Spider-Man once he finds out who they are, and try to really get down to trying to stop them. But obviously the Spider-Men are going to have to unite and stop the Goblin, and I think having that personal motivation could be a really interesting driving force for the story, in terms of, you built this relationship with Peter and MJ, and then Miles and Haley. Obviously their relationship was starting up in Miles Morales and in Spider-Man 2. You can really see how the Goblin could really, flip that on them and then bring it into a whole new, stage of their lives, how they can develop their relationship after the Goblin is gone. So I think the Green Goblin would be the best option for the main villain. Maybe Dr. Octopus could show up because they were teasing a kind of team up, or maybe Otto's just staying in prison and could act as like a Hannibal Lecter type character in Silence of the Lambs, where, like Peter and Miles maybe have to go to Otto and try to get information, or Norman has to go to Otto to get information, that kind of thing. And he's just an informant instead of an actual villain in this game. So with that being said, there are two important things to remember about this franchise going forward. Miles is confirmed to be the main Spider-Man going forward. You might play as him most of the time in this game. There's no way Peter doesn't come back for the final fight. I think he has to come back in the Spider-Man suit and try to help Miles in the final fight with the Green Goblin. Having Miles as the main Spider-Man progresses his story as the new hero in New York. Peter's been Spider-Man for over 8 years, and we got to see Miles' origin in Spider-Man, then Miles Morales, and in his progression in Spider-Man 2. So I think Sony's going to start to build out that we are with Miles for the rest of it, and we're going to see his journey progress over time, when Peter's has already happened off screen basically, but we've got to see some important things leading up to Miles coming into his life, mentoring Miles, and then he has to kind of step back and be with MJ while Miles carries on the mantle. Another important thing is that Cindy Moon was introduced at the end of Spider-Man 2. Could she be the third Spider-Person? Probably. I think that's what they're going to lean towards, is that you've got Peter, Miles, and Cindy as the main Spider people in this game. Now, a thing to think about: is she already Silk, or is she going to become Silk in this game? Personally, I think it would be cool if she's already Silk. Maybe she's from another universe, because Spider-Man 2 kind of toyed with the idea of the Spider-Verse with the side missions, and Miguel O'Hara being involved with all that. I think it would be really cool to see if she's from another universe, instead of having basically Miles' story done all over again with Cindy. She's already a Spider-Person, and maybe they're learning off of each other, because in this, Miles could be mentoring her to be his successor eventually, or they just partner up and try to, stop the Goblin together and all the other villains. I think that would be really cool. So that's all I have for you today. Make sure to drop in the comments and let me know who you want to be in Spider-Man 3 as the villains. I'd really be interested to see what your thoughts are. Please make sure again to subscribe to the channel, like this video, and share it around. I'd really appreciate it. And make sure to check out the villain designs tier list video that I did for the Insomniac Spider-Man franchise if you have not already. I really appreciate, again, anyone that did check that out and got it to the views that it's at right now. And all the new subscribers, again, thank you for subscribing to this channel. I hope you like this video, and I will see you all in the next video. Thank you for watching.